The sweet smoke of Sunday morning. Hot comb memories. Black kids will never forget. There was a smell that lived in every black household on Sunday morning. It was not the smell of bacon popping in the skillet, though that was there too. It was not the smell of coffee percolating on the stove, though Mama had that going by 6. No, this smell was something else entirely. Something that wrapped itself around your childhood and stayed there forever. It was the smell of a hot comb heating on the stove, the scent of Blue Magic or Dax pomade beginning to warm, and the faint sizzle of kitchen work being done on a little girl's head before church. If you grew up black in America during the 1950s, 1960s, or 1970s, you know exactly what that smell was. You can close your eyes right now and be transported back to your grandmother's kitchen, sitting on a phone book stacked on a wooden chair, your neck bent forward, your ears tucked, and your whole body still as stone while someone you loved pressed your hair straight for the Lord. This is that story. The story of the hot comb. The story of Sunday morning rituals. The story of black girlhood, womanhood, and the unspoken love passed down through generations, with every careful stroke of heated metal, through coarse, beautiful hair. The kitchen was always the heart of a black home. It was where food was prepared, secrets were shared, and life lessons were taught without anyone calling them lessons at all. But on Saturday night and Sunday morning, the kitchen transformed into something else. It became a beauty salon, a sanctuary, a place where mothers, grandmothers, aunties, and big sisters gathered to prepare the next generation for worship. The preparation started the night before. Saturday night was wash night. Little girls would have their hair washed in the kitchen sink or in a metal tub set on the back porch. The water was warm, sometimes too hot, sometimes too cold, but she did not complain. Mama would work the shampoo through your scalp with her strong fingers, scrubbing away a week of playing, sweating, and living. Then came the rinse, the conditioner, if you were lucky, and finally the towel wrapped around your head like a crown. But the wash was just the beginning. The real work came later. After your hair was washed and dried, either by sitting near the stove or by the slow work of time, Mama or Grandma would section it into parts. They used their fingers, sometimes a rat-tail comb, dividing your head into territories that would each receive their own attention. Then came the grease. Every black household had a jar of hair grease. It might have been Blue Magic in that bright blue container with the comb on the front. It might have been Dax with its distinctive smell that stayed in your hair all week. It might have been Sulfurate or Royal Crown or Posner's Bergamot. Whatever the brand, the purpose was the same. The grease would protect your hair from the heat, add shine, and keep your style in place long after the hot comb had done its work. Grandma would scoop out a small amount with her fingers, warming it between her palms before applying it to each section of your hair. The feel of her hands on your scalp was both routine and sacred. She had done this for her own daughters. Her mother had done it for her. And one day, you would do it for your own children. This was how love was passed down in black families. Not always through words, but through touch, through care, through the patient work of making someone beautiful. And then came the hot comb. The hot comb was a simple tool, a metal comb with a long handle, designed to be heated and pulled through textured hair to straighten it. But to call it simple would be to miss the point entirely. The hot comb was history. It was culture. It was survival. It was a black woman's answer to a world that told her that her natural hair was not good enough, not professional enough, not beautiful enough. The hot comb said, I will make myself presentable on my own terms. I will walk into that church, that school, that job interview, with my head held high and my hair laid smooth. The hot comb heated on the stove, usually a gas flame that licked at the metal until it glowed with warmth. Grandma would test it first, either by touching it quickly to a piece of paper to see if it singed, or by holding it near her wrist to feel the heat radiating off the metal. If it was too hot, she would let it cool for a moment. If it was just right, she would begin. You sat perfectly still. You had to. A hot comb too close to the ear could leave a burn that would sting for days. A hot comb dragged too slowly could singe the hair itself, leaving behind the acrid smell of burnt strands that everyone in the house would recognize. But Grandma knew what she was doing. Her hands were steady, practiced, confident. She'd been doing this for decades. The sound of the hot comb was like nothing else. A soft sizzle, a quiet hiss, as the heated metal passed through greased hair. and transformed it from coiled to straight. Section by section, Grandma worked her way around your head. The kitchen filled with smoke, thin wisps that rose toward the ceiling and disappeared. The smell was unmistakable. Hair grease swarming, pomade melting, and underneath it all that faint, burnt scent that let you know the comb was working. For little girls sitting in that chair, time moved differently. Minutes stretched into hours. Your neck ached from being bent forward. Your ears burned from the near misses of hot metal. Your scalp tingled from the grease and the heat, and the constant tension of hair being pulled and smoothed. But you did not move. You did not complain. Because you knew that when Grandma was done, you would look beautiful. You would look ready. You would look like someone worthy of sitting in the front pew and lifting your voice to heaven. The hot comb was more than a styling tool. It was a conversation piece. While Grandma worked on your hair, she talked. She told stories about her own childhood, about the women who had pressed her hair when she was young. She talked about church, about the sermon from last week, about the choir's new song. She talked about family, about cousins you had never met, about ancestors who had lived and died before you were born. The kitchen became a classroom, and the hot comb was the bell that started each lesson. These conversations were how history was passed down, not through textbooks, but through stories told while hair was being pressed. You learned about the Great Migration, about relatives who had left the South seeking something better in Chicago, Detroit, New York, or Philadelphia. You learned about segregation, about the colored-only signs that Grandma remembered seeing as a child. You learned about resilience, about how Black women had always found ways to make themselves beautiful, to take pride in their appearance, even when the world tried to make them feel small. The tradition of hair pressing in Black communities goes back generations. Before the hot comb became common in American homes, Black women used heated metal implements to straighten their hair, adapting tools from various sources. By the early 20th century, Madam C.J. Walker and Annie Malone had revolutionized Black hair care, creating products and tools specifically designed for African American hair textures. The hot comb became standard equipment in Black households, as essential as a cast iron skillet or a family Bible. For many Black women, breast hair was not about rejecting their natural texture. It was about versatility. It was about having options. Breast hair could be styled in ways that natural hair sometimes could not. It could be curled, pinned, wrapped, and arranged into elaborate styles that lasted for days. And for church-going families, presentation mattered. You came before the Lord looking your best, and your best meant hair that was neat, smooth, and shining. Sunday morning in a Black household was choreographed chaos. Everyone had a role. Everyone had a time slot. Mama was usually up first, getting herself ready before waking the children. Daddy might be shining his shoes or laying out his suit. Older siblings were ironing their clothes, checking their reflections, making sure every detail was perfect. But the little girls went to the kitchen. That was their station. That was where they sat, patient and waiting, while Mama or Grandma or Auntie finished the work that had been started the night before. Maybe the press needed touching up. Maybe the curls needed refreshing. Maybe a few stubborn sections had reverted overnight and needed attention. Whatever the case, the hot comb came out again, and the ritual continued. The kitchen was warm, sometimes too warm, especially in summer when the stove added to the already heavy heat. Sweat would bead on foreheads and temples, but the work continued. There was no air conditioning in most Black homes during those years. There were no excuses for not being ready. Church started at 11, and you would be there, pressed and dressed, no matter what it took. After the pressing came the styling. This was where artistry entered the picture. Grandma might part your hair down the middle and create two neat braids, tied at the ends with ribbons that matched your dress. She might curl the ends under with the hot comb, creating a neat bob that framed your face. She might pin sections up and back, creating an elegant style that made you feel grown up and special. Barrettes were selected with care. Ribbons were tied with precision. If you had bags, they were combed and smoothed until they lay flat across your forehead. Every detail mattered. When you walked into church, people noticed. The older women in the congregation would nod their approval. The other children would look at your hair with envy or admiration, and you would sit up a little straighter, knowing that you had been prepared with love and care. But the hot comb was not without its dangers. Every Black child who grew up in that era has a burn story. Maybe the comb slipped and caught the edge of your ear, leaving a mark that took weeks to heal. Maybe it touched your neck just above the collar line, creating a small blister that stung every time you moved. Maybe you jumped when you should have stayed still, and the comb left its signature somewhere you could not hide. These burns were almost a rite of passage. They were evidence that you had survived the ritual. They were stories to share with cousins and friends, comparing scars and laughing about the times Mama got you good. The burns healed, eventually, but the memories stayed forever. Grandma would blow on the hot cone to cool it, sometimes dipping it in a glass of water that sat nearby. She would apologize if she got you, dabbing the burn with a cool washcloth and maybe applying a little Vaseline to help it heal. But the work continued. There was no time to stop. Sunday was coming and you had to be ready. The smell of the hot comb was distinctive enough that it could travel. Neighbors might smell it drifting through open windows on a Saturday night or Sunday morning. It was the signal that preparation was underway, that the household was getting ready for something important. In apartment buildings, the smell might waft through the hallways, mixing with the scents from other apartments where similar rituals were taking place. For children, the smell became associated with anticipation. Smelling the hot comb meant Sunday was coming. Sunday meant church, but it also meant Sunday dinner afterward. It meant seeing cousins and friends in the church parking lot. It meant the choir singing, and the preacher preaching, and the collection plate passing. It meant putting on your best clothes and being part of something bigger than yourself. The natural hair movement that emerged in the late 1960s and 1970s complicated the relationship many black women had with the hot comb. The afro became a symbol of black pride and resistance, a rejection of European beauty standards in favor of embracing natural texture. Young people began questioning why black hair needed to be straightened at all. Why could black beauty not be celebrated in its natural state? These were important questions, and they sparked conversations that continue to this day. But the many families, especially in the South and in traditional households, the hot comb remained. It was not about rejecting blackness. It was about tradition. It was about the way things had always been done. And for many grandmothers who had pressed hair their entire lives, the natural hair movement felt like a rejection of something they held dear. In those households, girls might wear their afros during the week, but have their hair pressed for church on Sunday. It was a compromise, a way of honoring both the new and the old. The hot comb and the afro pick could coexist in the same bathroom cabinet, each representing a different aspect of black identity and beauty. What the hot comb represented, more than anything, was connection. Connection between generations. Connection between mothers and daughters, grandmothers and granddaughters. Connection between the black women of the past and the black women of the future. When Grandma pressed your hair, she was doing more than styling it. She was passing down a tradition. She was teaching you patience, stillness, and the importance of taking time to prepare. She was giving you her undivided attention in a world where attention was a precious commodity. She was showing you love in a language that did not require words. Years later, you might find yourself in a hair salon, getting your hair professionally styled with modern tools and techniques. The salon chair would be comfortable. The temperature would be controlled. There would be no risk of burns, no smoke rising toward the ceiling, no ache in your neck from sitting too long. But part of you would miss Grandma's kitchen. Part of you would miss the phone book on the chair, and the jar of blue magic on the counter, and the steady hands that had made you beautiful for church. The hot comb also represented resilience. Black women had been told for generations that their hair was a problem to be solved, rather than a feature to be celebrated. They had been denied jobs and opportunities because of the way their natural hair looked. They had been pressured to conform to beauty standards that were never designed with them in mind. The hot comb was one response to that pressure. It was a way of saying, I will navigate this world on my terms. I will present myself the way I choose. And I will do it with the tools and traditions of my own community. This was not submission. This was strategy. This was survival. And the women who wielded those hot combs with such skill and care knew exactly what they were doing. They were preparing their daughters and granddaughters to face a world that would not always be kind. They were giving them armor, invisible but real. They were teaching them that presentation mattered. Not because black beauty needed improvement, but because first impressions could open doors or close them. By the 1980s and 1990s, the hot comb began to be replaced in many households by the electric pressing comb and, eventually, by the chemical relaxer perms. Became the preferred method for straightening hair because they lasted longer and did not revert at the first sign of humidity. The ritual of the kitchen salon began to fade as more black women turned to professional stylists and commercial products. But the memory of the hot comb persisted. Even now, decades later, women who are grandmothers themselves can close their eyes and smell that distinctive scent. They can feel the heat near their ears. They can hear Grandma's voice telling stories while the comb worked its way through their hair. These memories are precious, irreplaceable, woven into the fabric of what it meant to grow up black in America. But today's young people have options that their grandmothers could never have imagined. Natural hair is celebrated. Protective styles like braids and locks are worn with pride. There are products designed specifically for textured hair, sold in mainstream stores and celebrated in advertising campaigns. The pressure to straighten has lessened, though it has not disappeared entirely. But those of us who remember the hot comb carry something that cannot be purchased in a store or replicated in a salon. We carry the memory of Grandma's hands. We carry the stories she told while she worked. We carry the knowledge that we were prepared with love, that we were made beautiful by someone who saw our beauty even before the comb touched our hair. If you grew up in a household where the hot comb was heated on the stove on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings, you know what this story is about. You know the smell that still lives in your memory. You know the sound of that gentle sizzle. You know the feel of grease being worked into your scalp and the slight sting of a burn that was worth the beauty it helped create. This was more than a hairstyling ritual. This was church before church. This was family. This was culture. This was the black experience distilled into smoke and heat, and the patient work of women who loved us enough to make us ready for the world. The hot comb may be disappearing from modern households, replaced by flat irons and silk pressers and salon appointments. But it will never disappear from our hearts. It will never disappear from our stories. And every Sunday morning, somewhere in America, a grandmother is thinking about those days when her kitchen was a salon and her hands held the tool that made her grandbabies shine. If this brought back memories, if you could smell that blue magic and feel that heat near your ear, you are not alone. Millions of us share these memories. They connect us across time and space, reminding us of where we came from and the women who shaped us. What do you remember about Sunday morning hair rituals in your household? What stories did your grandmother or mother tell while she worked on your hair? Share your memories in the comments below. Let us build a community of shared history and inherited love. And if you have not already, subscribe to this channel so you never miss another journey into the beautiful, complicated, sacred past that made us who we are today. This is our story. This is our history. and nobody can take it from us.